Hey guys, this is Justin Berry with the Basketball Embassy again. I'm here with Coach Aziz Karawak from. He's been a national team coach for the Moroccan national team and has coached all over Africa and has attended a lot of big name clinics all around Europe and Africa as well. Today he's talking defensive development with us. We're talking about basically from game-based drills to game situations. He's got two different breakdowns for us. If you've if you've got questions, shoot them to me. If we have a lot, then we'll chop it up. But there's two different parts, and we'll divide your questions up accordingly. But Coach, we're really happy to have you. You've got it.
Thank you so much for introducing me. First of all, I have to thank you for having me here. It's always a pleasure to share with other coaches in the target to improve, correct, and so on. Today we will speak about a topic that for me is very interesting. It's around defense, but especially the link and the relation between the drills that we usually practice with our players and the real game situation. If it's possible that I can share my screen.
Yeah, one moment, I got you. Okay, and now, Coach, you can share the screen now.
Perfect, 1 minute. Then it's okay. Here we are.
Yep.
Then we will talk about the defensive from a point of transfer between drills to game situation. Before that, I wish to give you a small view about myself. I am a FIBA licensed coaches, and I got some certification from the French Federation and the International Olympic Committee. Also, in the last years, I am graduated from the Lithuanian Sport University with the International Master degree in basketball coaching and management. And currently, I am preparing my PhD studies in the same university around the basketball and especially defense. I am also scout and consultant for some newspaper. In the side of the court, I was in the national team from the under 16 to the senior man team with African Championship in 2015. And I played the 3 times African Championship for clubs champions to 2019, 18, and 17. And I got some experience in African countries. Then we move ahead to our topic. Why this topic? Why the basic game drills? Because in our sense, it makes sense for players first, that they can understand why they are doing such drills. Also sorry, I go back, because it's shrink the gap between the practice and the game. That means our transfer from the practice situation to the game is easily in the eyes of players. It can guarantee the mental players' involvement. That means if our player will understood that the meaning and the sense of these drills, they will be mentally more involved than a normal state. Also, these style of drills unify the direction of drills, like the situation our player will face during their official games. It also help us making the game plan clear and it's frame our defensive strategy before going for the full picture. That's mean in the 5-on-5 defense. Before moving to these drills, we must be clear about 2 points about the defense. Are we a systematic defense team? That means we got our system of defense and we will do it whatever can be the opponent, or are we going to adjust by scouting? That means we will use the video scouting to learn about the opponents and decide about our defensive strategy. The second point, are we going to be a control defense or pressure and defense? That means we will press the opponents all the game, or we will move for controlling, or we will alternate between controlling and pressuring. The third point that is paramount in our sense, are we a single strategy team or different strategy? That means, are we going to play all the game with the man-to-man defense, or we are going to move during the game from one strategy to other one? That means we will mix between the man-to-man defense, zone defense, maybe full court pressure, matchups, and so on. Then before moving to put and emphasize our drills, we need first to get the answers about these 3 points. Defense is about beliefs. That means offense, we need to know that offense acts and defense only reacts. Basically, the last word is more for offense, but defense try to react and have little advance regarding the offense. The second point is defense is about choices. We can defense all the sets of a team. That means all the post-ups, the picks, off-ball screens, zone. We can't do this, but we will focus in some part of the opponent that we think and that we believe they are strong to give them the win. The third point is very, very important, is that the defense is the mental willingness. That means, or you are aggressive enough or you aren't. That means once your player is getting the ball, the first intention is to pressure him, not give him enough time to think about the next action. Then before going to defense, we need to answer about this question. Now, what are the prerequisites? In our philosophy, we move from the defensive skill learning to the skill speed executing. That means learning and executing. This is around 3 points. Positioning in 3B. That means ball, body, and basket. It's very, very important. The second point is to recognize his status. That means I am in a ball pressure or I am in the help side. I am in the first help side or I am in the second and maybe the safety in the third help side. The third point is the reaction profile. That means the timing and the attitude. The drive is from the side. I must hurry up in 2-3 steps to stop this drive inside the pin. This is what we call the timing. The second point is the attitude. I am going to stop and recover, or I am going to stop and stay. This is very, very important that player can understand and integrate these points. What about defensive principles? For me, going for choices is depending more about the opponent. That means, are we going to pressure the ball to the baseline or give the middle? This is more depending from our scouting video that can give us enough ideas to decide whether we will give them the baseline or the middle. Generally, for teams who are strong in driving kick-out pass, we will give them the middle. It's the case it's the case of teams like Fenerbahce, Real Madrid, and so on. To give the baseline is for teams that don't share too much the ball. That means they are teams who are more on the dribble, less on the passes. In these cases, will be suitable to give them the baseline to close their choices. The second point in our principles is the switch. We will switch all balls once the drive is done below the free throws line. That means if a guard is driving inside the paint, we will switch. Our big will take this guard, and our guard will take the opponent bigs, making himself in front of him. In some game situation, we can go for maybe 2-3 defensive rotation in the same position. In our target, to not let any player open, except in some teams when we will observe that they didn't get enough shooter, maybe our rotation will be short. The fourth principle, every ball movement is a new placement. This is a big point in defense, moving while the ball is flying. That means the time the ball is flying gives time to players to adjust their defensive placement regarding the movement of the ball. And the last point is communication. The defense is always around communication, announcing the side of picks, announcing the defensive style, announcing the switch, announcing the back screen. It's always around the communication. And behind all these 5 principles, our philosophy is to put 30% of drills and 70% of game situation, what we will witness together later on. Our approach in the defensive learning, the drills and game situation. For the drills, we count the number of repetitions. That means we will do 5 repetitions on 3 against 3. We will count the number of defensive successful sequences regarding the play. That means in 5 played defensive sequences, we will count how many times our defense were successful to stop the offense. In the other side, in the game situation, we will play in scoring points. That means we will more go for the defensive stops than the offensive point. That means if we are able to stop a 2-point possessions, the 2-point of offense will go for defense. The same in the possession that targets the 3-point shot, we will take the 3-point shot of the offense and add it to the defensive team. This is in our eyes can push the players to give their best and improve our defensive performance to be ready for the game day. Now we move further about our principle, the position. Our players must be able to learn in which position they are and what are the rules. When the ball is in the side, for example, in the player number 1, defensive X2 and X3 are in the pressure. They are pressuring the ball line. They are not pressuring in the close stance, but in open, but they are in the ball line. They must give a help. The X4, oppositely, he is totally in the help side to step inside the pins. When the ball moves to the 3 in the diagram B, Number two, go totally in the help side. He go inside the paint, the same like player X4. 3 is in the pressure, and we will decide ever what will go in the middle, open the middle, or open the baseline. And the 1 is also in the pressure in the passing line. Here the situation, the ball is in the side, the player start drive, the player in the strong side, he just fake one step to help, but he won't help totally. In the other side, the other 3 players who are in the weak side, all of them have their feet inside the paint. Here going to drills. This is a very interesting drill, the 2-on-2 Villanova closeout drill. Here our target is to teach our players the nature of the help. Defensive X1 gives the pass to X2, and X2 gives the pass to offensive player 3, who gives the pass to 4. Later on, 1 moves to defend against 3, and 2 go to defense 2. We will play a 2 against 2 in the side. The target here in the second diagram in the middle, that's the player in the side must stop the drive in 1-2 step and recover. If we are obliged and we are sizes, that means guard for guard, maybe we can switch if the ball handler take over his direct defensive player. In the third diagram, we saw a drive inside the paint. As we said in the beginning, it's an automatic switch. X1 will take offensive player, and X2, once inside the paint, he will switch to take the offensive player 2. The rotation in 3-on-3. Here we have 2 cases. We have help side from the opposite wing and help side from the low post. When the drive is from the side and our wing is in the low post, how you see in the diagram in the middle, the X2 will take the ball handler, the X1 will go down to close the offensive player 3, and the X3 will move to replace the X1 and take the offensive player 2. In the third diagram, in the right side of your screen, this is another case. That means when the drive is from the side and the help side is also from the side, is opposite from the low post. It's the same, but in this case, our player needs to recover a big distance that the case in the low post. Our player ran to stop the ball handler before he go inside the paint. The defensive player of the point guard switch him, and we go in the full rotation of the 3 players. Here we move on to a game simulation on 3-on-3. That means we will emphasize the opponent's strong set offenses. That means the main action that he likes to do during the game and gives them points. In this drill, the coach is in the side. X1 gives him the pass and cut. Already our defensive player X2 jump to the ball to avoid and deny any gives and go. Later on, the offensive player 3 go to post up. In this sequence, our defensive X3 need to fight for the position with him in the low post. As third action, offensive player number 4 go in the top. And in this sequence, our defensive X4, more he is going up, he need to go closer and closer to him. In this situation, we will get we're gonna have 3 in the low post, 4 in the top, and 2 in the corner. I am speaking about the offensive placement. In this case, we can play whatever we want. We can play the post up. That means in this case, the coach chooses to give the ball to the low post. In this case, X2 go inside the paint, and 4 is a safety player between the 2 and the 4. If 3 choose to skip the pass in the opposite side, will be the 4 who will take the player who got the first pass, and 2 is the switcher. If our opponent is a team who is playing the back screen, that means in this case, screen of 2 for 4. We give the ball to the 3, 2, offensive player 2 will make a back screen for the 4. Our X2 will bump him and recover his player. If in the case of the opponent is playing a handoff situation, in this case, the coach will give the ball to the 4, 2 will lift up to get this point and play. In this case, our X2 will go through this handoff and recover his player, and we will see later on if we're gonna side him, give him a side, or we will open the court. This situation of 3-on-3 is for us the main situation that can teach our player the strategy that we're gonna defend our opponent following his choices, his offensive choices. That means more in post up, more in the handoffs, more in the picks, more in skipping the pass, and so on. We move on from the 3-on-3 half court to 3-on-3 full court. This is the handicap drill, 3 against 2 plus 1. We got 3-on-3 facing each other in the half court. Offensive players are in the baseline, and and defensive players are in the free throw line extension. We choose which player we gonna give the first pass. Once he gives the pass, he go to touch the baseline. We will choose which player will stop the first drive. The second immediately is in the second line of defense. And the first players who gives the pass will run always in the opposite side of the dribble. If the dribble is in the left, he will go on the right. If the dribble is in the right, he will go in the left. Now we move to the 4-on-4 shell drill. In the same logic, we play the 4-on-4. That means players are moving the ball. When the coach is blowing his whistle, if the ball is in the corner, is it a drive? For example, 4 will drive, X3 will close the baseline, X1 will go down, and 2 is a safety player who will take the skip pass. In the case of a drive of 2 in the in the first diagram, 2 help on him, and we'll decide later on, or we will go to switch or just help and recover his player. This is the same. We can move on inside to put the opponent's offensive action. For example, is if they like to put a screen, pick and pop. Once the ball is in the guard, X1 or X2, the coach will blow the whistle. The 4 will run to make the screen, and we will proceed regarding our rotation, or full rotation, or help recover on, or only a normal switch between the 2 and the 4. Here a small demonstration about defensive rotation when we decide to give the baseline. Drive, stop, inside, recover his player. Generally, this is a drill who help us a lot teaching the rotation to our player. Here we go to 5-on-5 live situations, scrimmage with targets and scoring. In the same logical, if we decide in the first diagram in your left side of the screen, if we decide to give the baseline to open the path for the offensive player, 2, 5 will stop the drive, 3 go down to stop the kick-out pass, and 1 will be the safety. In this case, in the diagram in your right, we don't allow that 2 gives the middle to player 2. This is forbidden. In the other case, if we decide to give the middle, in this case, player X3 will take player 2, number X1 will take offensive player 3, and X2 replace to take the offensive player X, the guard. And we play this situation with the scoring points. That means we will play for 8 points, 10 points, till we have our target behind these defensive sessions. I need to mention one big point, that in the same time we are working in the defensive side and we are improving our offense. That means the offense that we are playing are our offenses. That means in the behind this strategy, we want to improve simultaneously our offense and our defense.
Coach,
yes?
We've got one question here when it comes to, I think, around the world, I think obviously it's much more common, just like you've been showing, it's much more common to influence the offense to the baseline to try and to not give up middle. When you guys are doing drills in practice, do the players usually catch on pretty quickly and take away middle, or do you have to drill? Do you have to put in drills that remind them about the angle? Because I think sometimes, especially with youth players, you can tell them no middle, but their stance is not correct. So with from your experience, I guess, is it something that you really have to take a lot of time to do, or do the guys already take away middle naturally?
I think it is a defensive choice. That means it's not available for all people. That means maybe other coaches will go for middle. They will give the middle, don't give the baseline. As I said before, I will go back a little. Ball pressure, given the middle of the baseline, is dependent of the opponent. That means we won't go decide from the beginning all the season to go for the middle.
So that's dependent. So that's dependent on who you're playing, then.
Yes.
Okay.
This is more dependent about the opponents. We are not going to decide from the beginning of the season to give all the time the middle. No, this is dependent of the opponent. What my argument is my argument is here. Are you systematic defense or you adjust by scouting? I am a kind of coach who adjusts by scouting. I mean, I am not gonna decide for all the season to go for the no middle defense. This is very bad. If I am facing a team who are very good in skipping the pass, it's always 20 points. This is depending of the opponent that I will go or opening giving the baseline or giving the middle.
Okay, thank you, Coach. Go ahead.
Then, if the drive is from the corner, in the case in the first diagram, offensive player 4 is driving, 5 is stopping the drive before he entered the paint. 3 will cover the skip pass, and 2 is a safety who will take the 3 and 2. the situation is pretty clear in the second diagram. Maybe we will decide to trap. That means in this case, player number 4 and 5 will trap, 3 will stay in the passing line in the baseline, and 2 is the safety who will control the skip pass. The X2 will open totally his player because the only issue for the 4 player is giving the pass for 2. We don't want to give him this opportunity. Here I will give you a video that show all that we spoke later on in the defense of the Golden State Warrior while they were facing the hits. Rotation, now it's about the rotation. Ball in the low post, sorry. Okay. Ball in the low post. Off ball screen, help side with this, they decide to trap. Clay Thompson will go for the rotation as safety. He'll take the first pass and the player who trap take the second pass. He won't give him the middle, open the baseline, rotation, and here we go. We take the ball for a fast break. Screen, high drop. The bottom player will take the roller. Curry will run down to take to close the passing line in the corner. And here we are. Every player got his own man. The same here. Drag screen, the ice roller. The first player down, take the roller. And as I said before, if we are in the need to make 2 or 3 rotation, we will go for it. No player have to be open. Here the drive to baseline, automatic switch. Iguodala will take the player and Curry will switch and will get easy ball for a good defensive situation. If there is any question, I am ready to give answer before moving to the second part of Peak's defense.
Yeah, Coach, we've got one that actually just about the last thing that you were showing. I guess down low, it's a lot faster of a decision, but it's a peel switch is I guess what you were showing just now. Are there any situations where that type of switch puts you at a disadvantage, or is that something that you teach at all levels? So for the player, as soon as there's an advantage, so in that case it was Curry, he automatically looks for the next guy or for the next closest guy.
Yes, for switching, yes.
Yeah. So the question is, do you think
yes.
Is that something that you really stand by, or are there situations where it's a disadvantage? Coach, can you hear me there?
Yes.
Yeah. So with that peel switch, is that your overall your preference, or is that do you have to have certain personnel to play that way?
No. This is a principle in our defense.
Yeah.
Whenever exists, because if you let a player who got already an advantage from your defensive player inside the paint, this is an easy basket.
Yeah.
Then for us is an automatic switch. Every time exists offensive advantage of the opponent. That means automatic switch. The big will take the ball handler, and our defensive player will switch to the inside player, putting himself in front to avoid this bounce pass and so on. This is for us. This is an evidence. This is a principle. Every time exists a drive in the paint below the free throw line, this is always an automatic switch.
Okay.
And also this decision of switching is dependent of the scouting. If we saw in our video scouting that the opponents will go for the next stage after switching, that means the ball handler will go to the side and will look for the mismatch in the low post. For sure, we won't switch. But in the cases that there is a switch, that the ball handler want to nourish the big, it's always a switch.
Okay, thanks, Coach. We've got about 12 more minutes. We're a bit rushed, so I have a few more questions, but I want you to be able to get to the next part, and so we can take a few questions on that when you're done.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah. Thanks.
Picks defense, the second part. Pick defense choices. The choices as around 5 points. The offensive qualities of the opponent players. That means they are a lot of shooters or of less. Their statistics, field goal attempt, their rotation, ball rotation. I'm speaking about ball rotation. Over the last 3 games, to be little for the objectivity, because one game can't give you enough idea about the opponent. You need to mix the 3 games. Good picture. Our proper defensive qualities, that means our size. If we got the same size, we can go directly for switching all the picks. If we are differently in size, maybe we will switch from 1 to 3 or 1 to 4, but we can't go for 1 to 5. Our weights, are we a speedy team to go for full court, for switching, for zone that can help us switch a lot of defensive, or we will take only 1 or 2 defense that help us take over about the opponent? Our reactivity, are our player enough aware about the opponent that we can react quickly to steal balls, to stop drives, and conversely to go for the offense? The court size, more the court is small, we can go for defensive rotation because it's easy. More the court is big, it's difficult to go for defensive rotation. For example, if you are playing with Panathinaikos, it's very difficult to make the rotation because the court is big. In the opposite, if you are playing in the court of Real Madrid, it's a small court and make your rotation more easy. The score and timing of the game. We won't play all the game with the same screen the picks defense the same all the game. We will switch maybe in the last possession because we are ahead of 2 point, 4 point, or we are back 2 point. We need to switch. Maybe we're gonna trap all the opponent picks. The nature, and this is very important point, the nature of the offensive picks. If the picks are stationary, that means the player is stopping and calling for the pick. It's more easy to make your choice in the fact, that means giving a side. If the picks is moving, it's very difficult. Exist some picks when the player is dribbling and the bigs is coming behind. You can't see the big and you don't know what is the intention of the ball handler. In this case, more is going for the control decision than oriented decision. And we go for their choices regarding our video scouting. For the picks options, exist 2 options. Are we going to go for a primary coverage? That means only the players who are involved in the screen. 2-man games. 1 and 5, maybe 2 and 4, 2 and 5, 1 and 4. This is, you will resolve this situation on 2-on-2. Switching, maybe show up and back. or in the second option is going inside the rotation, what we call the emergency coverage. That means rotation and put in your safety player who will take the skip pass, or close the first player who will take the skip pass. Here, how to drill your player for all picks options. Going over. Under. Going for the same, going through, it's going 3, it's a double switch, not a triple switch, switching, double recover. Then for the pick and roll is about option. I'm gonna show you the options against pick and roll with non-shooting inside center. We can take the case of Tavares in Real Madrid. Generally, this is against teams who got a very sized inside player. In this case, our X5 will drop in this case, our 5 will drop low and our X1 will fight to recover his player. Then the X1 will be between the ball handler and his direct defensive player. And here we ask our guard to fight to recover his player as quick as possible. For the other 3 players who are not involved in the screen, they are just faking to help and recover, but not totally go for the help, no rotation. How we are going to drill this 2-on-2 situation? In the first diagram, we saw that the 5 is going to screen X1, and X1 will fight to recover his player, and X5 in the low drop position is just controlling the ball handler and always keeping his eyes on his offensive player 5. In this situation, we will ask the ball handler to skip the pass to the coach, that give it to the offensive player in the low post, and we will ask our X5 to run to take this ball. If in the case of ball handler drive to the pin, we are back to our principal automatic switch. The X5 will take the X1. Sorry. Then
we've got about 2 minutes left in the time for this room. I've got 2 questions I wanted to ask you before we get off.
Okay.
So one of our viewers is asking with the pick and roll defenses, do you approach it do you approach your coverage more based on the opponent or more based on your defensive personnel? So, for example, if you have a mobile big man or a lineup where you can switch everything, do you base that more off of your personnel or what the offense is capable of doing?
I think it's more about the 2 points. That means, as we saw here in this slide, it's more about the opponent, as we saw here, offensive quality of the opponent players, and also about our proper defensive qualities. If we got to a mobile big, we can go for switching, no problem, because he can resolve this problem of drive inside the pit. But if we got a heavy inside player, we can switch. We will give easily mismatch inside the pin that will cost us 2 points. This depending simultaneously about the 2 points. That means the quality of our rosters, and also about the quality of the opponents. That means it's also around the video scouting. It's the video scouting who gonna give us enough ideas how to proceed regarding the pick and roll.
Okay. And then finally, Coach, we want to thank you again for joining us. I know with the time it got a little bit rushed, but we've had a few people asking if they can get these charts and diagrams from you and get these slides from you. Is there a way that they can reach out or get your contact information?
Yes, for sure. If you can give me a small second, I will give them my contact there for Twitter, for LinkedIn, and also my email. Just draw me some lines, and I can forward for them this presentation. My email is aziz.karwash@hotmail.com, and I am reachable also on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Perfect. Coach, man, thank you very much for joining us. Guys, you can see it there on the slide, and we'll also try to boost it on our social media. Reach out. Coach said he'd be happy to share it with you. Until next time, Coach, we really appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
It was my pleasure. All the best.
Bye.
Bye.